Okay, so that's entirely yes and no no's, and about half of you abstained. Right, fair enough. Well, I guess what I want to suggest to you is that you yes guys are completely correct. That, of course, if she just looks at the flower, she's going to say, I never knew objects had that kind of characteristic before. I didn't know objects had colors before. What does it mean for her mind? What does it mean for anybody else's mind? She doesn't care. She doesn't do minds. She's not interested in minds. She likes to know about her environment. So she's going to find out about the colors, all right. So there's something about color itself as a characteristic of the physical objects around us that physics doesn't capture. Physics missed out something that doesn't have to do with the mind. Physics missed out what the color is of the thing. And that's not a mental characteristic. That is, when you look at the color of the rose, you're not seeing the rose's furry little mind blossoming there, right? That's not what the color is. The color is not a characteristic of the mind at all. That's just a characteristic of the object. But physics missed it out. Mary only found out about that by stepping outside her room and taking a look. So when Mary attends to the colors, in the first instance, what she learns about isn't a mental fact at all. She's learning something about the environment she's in. She's learning that in this environment, objects are colored. She's learning that objects have color. She's learning what the colors are and which objects have what colors. That's not a fact about a mind. So that thesis of physicalism, all the correct information is physical information. That misses out non-mental facts, like the facts about the colors of objects. And then once Mary has that, once you know about the colors of objects, then if you want to make the further step, if you get interested in minds, then it's easy to say, oh, so now I know what it's like to see colors. Because I know what colors are, and I know what seeing is. So then it's going to be easy to imagine what it's like to see colors. But it's only because you know about the various colors of the objects around you that you can imagine the ways in which people experience them. So that's what I mean. When you freeze frame that step out from the black and white room, you see there's a little bit of structure here. First of all, she's got to be attending to the colors of objects. She's got to be doing the thing that tigers don't do. And that's finding out about the environment. And then she can do that other step of finding out about experience. So there are two problems with physicalism here. One is it misses out non-mental facts about our environment. It misses out things about color. And then the second thing is that physicalism also misses out your experiences. So we've got the mind-body problem, but there is also the color-body problem. Where does color fit in to the physical world? Yes?
So, I think you said that red is kind of like an objective fact about that.
The red is an objective fact. Yes, absolutely, yes.
But, what if I have some kind of, me having color defect?
What if you have some problem with your color vision? Yeah.
I don't see it as red. I see it as blue.
Okay.
So, does this still make it an objective fact?
Well, you're just making a mistake about an objective fact then, aren't you? If it's red but you see it as blue, then that's perfectly objective and you're just making a mistake.
But isn't it only red that because everyone else agrees that it's red? Because everyone else's subjective perception sees it as red, and I'm just the difference of subjective perception.
Yeah, you're just getting voted out. Is that?
Yeah.
Yeah, so unfair.
How can I say that majority of subjective is necessarily objective?
Well, look around you at the blaze of colour in the room, right? We didn't have to look at those colours. They didn't kind of spring into being as we looked at them. You see what I mean? If you're in a redwood forest that has been there before humans occupied the area, Yeah? Presumably it had all its colours anyhow. We just came upon it and observed those colours. Yeah? I mean, you don't want to say that back in the dawn of time, in the age of dinosaurs, nothing was coloured. It was only when humans showed up and started voting that they got coloured. You see what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I agree that like there were colors before like we observed them, but
Yeah.
it's just like the way we observe them might not be like how they actually.
Right. That's right. We might be observing them wrong, but that is true for just about anything. Right? Sometimes we observe shapes wrong. Sometimes we observe other people wrong. That's what it's like when you're trying to observe objective reality. It's out there. It doesn't care what's going on with your vision. Your vision has to do its best to figure out what's out there. Yeah, that's what's going on with Mary. Her vision is just telling her what's out there. Yep. Yes. Please.
So
Yeah.
if you have like two people who are looking at, say, like a tennis ball, and one person perceives that as green, and another person perceives it as yellow,
Yep.
and green and yellow are both objective facts, which one would be more correct? Is it just
One sees it as green and one. Oh, is this because I'm not sure which tennis balls you mean, but some of them are kind of in between.
Yeah.
Is that what you mean? Yeah. Okay, very good. All right. Okay. One of the bitterest arguments I ever had in my life was about whether a particular dress was green or blue. That had me being accused of colour blindness and anyway. I'm sorry. But you can really have arguments about that kind of stuff. Is that yellow or green? Yeah.
right? But it still holds an objective property. Of
But it has an objective property. Yeah.
or green.
Yeah.
So how would you resolve that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Difference in perception.
Yeah, it's not straightforward to resolve that, but this might seem to be going back on what I said to the last commenter, but there I think you do have a kind of vote. But I think it's reasonable to say it's a vote. I don't think it's really contradictory to say that, because I think in this kind of case, what you're really arguing about are the boundaries. Where do I draw the line? There's some sense in which you're both looking at the same colour. You're both experiencing the same colour. You're having a row, really, about where the border between yellow and green is. You're saying it's here, I'm saying it's there. But of course, there is something arbitrary about that border. There's the spectrum, and it is kind of bulgy when you look at the spectrum. But exactly where you put the boundaries, that's something for negotiation. Really, the sensible thing would be to say, well, I'm going to call that yellow, or call it whatever you like. Or you see what I mean? You're both seeing the same thing. Yeah.
I feel like if that can't be resolved, just simply because physiologically, each person has a different set of that, and as humans, maybe we just can't do so. That's why we should be open to other options, open to other concepts, so we can maybe understand the objective concept, the facts about the tennis ball more. If we're open to knowing that there are other possibilities than we would see when we know.
Okay, very good. So there could be a difference between your physiology and mine. That is the basis. That is why we're having this row. Yeah. And who's to say which one's right at that point? Yeah. I think that's absolutely right. And the thing is, very often we have to negotiate what exactly you're going to mean by words. When children are learning to talk, learning a phrase like "know what I mean is just one of the first things you have to do, because so often in a conversation you're just having to negotiate exactly what you mean by particular words. Did you mean my right or your right? When you say near me, do you mean like near like this or near like those stairs? You see what I mean? What exactly do you mean by near? We have to negotiate exactly what we mean by words the whole time, and we should think of this as just part of that kind of ordinary negotiation. Yeah. No, I think that's right. I still hold on to the line, though, that there's a reality of colour out there that we're trying to describe, and what's up for negotiation is not really which colours are there, but just exactly how we're going to use the vocabulary to talk about it. You see what I mean? Similarly with space, you're going to say, this is what I mean by close by, this is what I mean by far, There's a single spatial reality out there, and we just have to negotiate with our words to say exactly how we're going to describe it. Yep. One. Yeah. One, and then briefly two, and then we should stop. Yeah. Yeah.
If you'll allow me to just take a step back, I was wondering if you were going to give us any readings on just epistemology or something like that, because I feel a lot of us are having questions like, what does it mean to truly know something? How do I differentiate between someone else's opinion and another person? And what does it mean to know something new, or something things like that? Right?
These are all perfectly reasonable questions. Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like I'm unequipped, right? When we're talking about the mind-body problem, and you're talking about what does it mean to learn something new and things like that. You know what I mean?
I do see what you mean, but
I feel like if anything, that other stuff should be a prereq.
yeah.
In this course.
Welcome to philosophy. Right. I promise you, if you did the epistemology course, you'd be thinking, I wish I'd done some philosophy of mind before I took this. But the serious point, though, is one thing to ask for definitions of terms, but it's characteristic of these terms that they're very hard to define. Yeah. The really important point is that in everyday life, we don't have that kind of uncertainty. And look, suppose I'm a senior FBI agent, right, or a senior CIA agent. Yeah. I have matters of national security in my hand. I have to pass the dossier to the guy who shows the green card, right? So he shows me the green card, and I don't hand over the dossier. And afterwards people say, but you had the green card. And I say, well, knowledge is very difficult. I did an EP course once, and knowledge really, you tell me what you mean by knowledge. We don't experience that uncertainty about how to use the word knowledge for a second, right? Watergate was in the news recently, right? When Nixon was asked, did you know about the burglary? Did he say, well, knowledge is very... actually, you will hear British civil servants doing this. Truth is a very difficult concept, they say, right? But in real life, we don't treat these... We don't have these difficulties, yeah? And what I'm saying is, hang on to your real-life understanding. Yeah, I'm not really very interested in manufactured problems. These are real problems, if you see what I mean, that are coming up here. These are real questions. How does the world of colour connect to basic physics? Yeah, that is just an inescapable problem. It doesn't come up because you had trouble defining your basic terms or something. And the point I'm really saying to you is, definitions don't help here of these terms like knowledge. And there really isn't a problem anyhow, because usually we are perfectly comfortable with terms like knowledge. Yeah.
Well, I just want to go back. So when you were saying that Mary, when she leaves the room and sees the flower for the first time,
Yes.
she learns about the objective redness of the flower.
That's right, the objective redness of the flower. That's what I'm saying.
But, couldn't you argue that instead, since she had presumably all the information about what wavelengths of light would...
She did, yeah. She knew all that stuff about wavelengths, yeah.
Then couldn't she, using her science knowledge, manufacture some kind of red light bulb that emits this? Or even better,
Very good.
manufacture a